What if the real Star Wars wasn't fiction at all, but a battle in the Orion Constellation that set the stage for human life on Earth? They told us humanity evolved through random mutation and survival alone. But random mutations don't suddenly create symbolic language, advanced consciousness, and unexplained genetic leaps. This is not a story pulled from textbooks, and certainly not from the internet. It is a memory retrieved from the field, a transmission echoed through myth, stone, and DNA itself. This is story time. Eons ago, about 200 million years in linear time, the Orion Constellation was the galaxy's busiest crossroads. Around the three belt stars, Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka, stretched a cluster of inhabited worlds linked by stargates, shortcuts that let ships jump light years in minutes. Much later, Earth's pyramid builders would echo that exact three-star pattern at Giza, a quiet nod to a sky their ancestors somehow remembered. The regulars were four well-known star cultures. Lyrans, upright felines with a knack for crystal tech, carried medical prisms that closed wounds without surgery. Pleiadians, human-looking but higher vibrational, arrived with plant-based formulas that stabilized emotions and boosted immunity. Sirian envoys brought portable water systems able to green even the driest moons, and Andromedan mathematicians exchanged self-upgrading code that could teach metals to grow and repair themselves. Other groups visited too, but these four anchored the market's rhythm. Transactions happened face-to-face, no tariffs, no armed checkpoints. Disagreements flared, yet neutral mediators, often Pleiadian, stepped in before tempers hardened. The shared, unwritten rule was simple: contribute what you excel at and take home what your world needs. Over time, this open exchange raised living standards across dozens of systems. The region became known for its Star Chorus, a nickname traders used for the steady hum of many languages drifting through station corridors. That openness, however, also marked Orion as a prize. Beyond the main trade ring, a reptilian Draco Empire watched the flow of ships with growing envy. Dracos traced their throne world to Thuban, Alpha Draconis, once Earth's North Star and still called the Dragon's Heart in star lore. They were a rigid warrior culture, hierarchical, territorial, and convinced that dominance proves worth. They reached out to a hardline Orion faction, a nationalist movement of humanoid leaders who felt Orion's wealth should stay in Orion hands and who resented the free-for-all market. Together, they viewed the stargates as toll booths they could tax, and the advanced genetic codes of other worlds as prime loot for their own power agenda. The alliance was sealed in secret. They started quietly, spreading rumors, tampering with gate schedules, and slipping hidden fees onto key routes. Trust cracked, cooperation turned wary, and Orion began the slide into what would soon be known as the Orion Wars. Orion's trade lanes all bottlenecked at one critical point: the Stargate cluster orbiting the blue-white star Mintaka. Much later, Earth cultures from the Hopi Mesas to Teotihuacan would build temple triads that mirror Mintaka and its sister belt stars, a quiet echo of this vital junction. Whoever controlled that junction could open or close traffic for half the sector. The Draco Empire understood this perfectly. Working through trusted intermediaries, Draco officers met with the hardline Orion faction that disliked open commerce. They struck a simple deal. The Dracos would supply warships and troops. The Orion faction would use its local authority to legitimize Draco presence and silence opposition. In return, both groups would share whatever fees, tech, and influence flowed from locking the gates. The plan moved in stages. First, anonymous security teams offered to help inspect cargo flows, easy access to gate control rooms. Next, a quiet software patch redirected toll payments to private accounts. Finally, Draco cruisers appeared for routine drills, parking beside the gates and making every trader think twice before jumping through. Within weeks, transit times doubled. Lyran medical convoys were forced to wait, paying steep priority fees. Pleiadian healers complained. Sirian water engineers filed protests. Nothing changed. The once friendly marketplace began to feel like a port city under shadow rule. Skirmishes followed. A Pleiadian freighter refused a sudden surcharge and tried to bypass the security net. Draco fighters disabled its engines. The cargo drifted for days before rescue. News traveled fast. Mintaka was no longer neutral ground. Neutral mediators tried diplomacy, but the coalition wouldn't back down. Each enforcement action bred more resentment, and small conflicts flared around feeder gates. Insurance rates soared. Some traders stopped coming. The star chorus that once filled station corridors shifted from excited chatter to tense whisper. Mintaka's chokehold showed everyone how quickly cooperation could be strangled by control. What began as a covert takeover of a single junction would soon erupt into full military engagement, turning the constellation's thriving heart into the first battlefield of the Orion Wars. Once Mintaka's gates were under new management, the Draco-Orion alliance went after a second prize: Lyran genetics. Because their crystal-based biology could repair cellular damage almost instantly and accelerate spiritual growth. In plain terms, whoever owned those codes could upgrade soldiers, heal trauma overnight, and leapfrog centuries of evolution. The raid began quietly. Under the guise of routine inspections, Draco commandos slipped onto a Lyran medical freighter docked at Mintaka Station. Instead of checking manifests, they hacked the ship's biovault, downloading entire gene libraries onto crystal data rods. The crew protested and were stunned unconscious. No shots fired, no alarms raised. The freighter was released with a fabricated security seal, so no one knew it had been robbed until days later. Emboldened, the coalition hit bigger targets: a Lyran hospital moon and 2 research outposts. This time they used brute force. Armored Orion troopers stormed the facilities while Draco gunships blocked outgoing comms. Scientists were taken, databases wiped, living crystal samples were boxed up in armored crates like black market contraband. News traveled fast despite the blackout. Pleiadian healers arrived to treat the injured and recorded the first clear evidence of Draco weaponry on civilian ground. Sirian diplomats filed emergency complaints with the Gate Authority, only to discover the authority now answered to the very faction orchestrating the attacks. For the trading worlds, the message was unmistakable. The Alliance wasn't stopping at toll fees. They were stripping entire cultures of their most precious resource: living knowledge encoded in DNA. That did it. Lyran elders called for help. Pleiadian and Sirian councils voted to intervene, and Arcturian strategists began drafting defensive energy grids. In one galactic week, the cooperative experiment that had defined Orion for ages flipped into a state of declared conflict. Historians mark those gene heists as the true ignition point of the Orion Wars. A fight over Stargate profits might have been contained. The theft of a people's very essence could not. From that moment on, every convoy routed by Mintaka traveled armed, and every Draco or Orion warship that appeared on scanners triggered red alert sirens. The era of easy exchange was officially over. Trade hubs shuttered, the star chorus fell silent, and both sides prepared for a battle neither had planned, but none could now avoid. The gene theft ended diplomacy. Draco warships rolled into Mintaka space and fired resonance cannons, frequency weapons that bypassed metal and scrambled living tissue. One strike seized the primary Stargate. Traffic halted overnight. Allied fleets rushed in. Arcturian shield drones wove countertones. Sirian escorts formed water buffer pods. Pleiadian medships trailed behind. The once open trade lane became a wall of blockades. Draco destroyers and Orion gun platforms on one side, mixed defense grids on the other. Civilian vessels fled. Refugee convoys stretched light days as Lyran hospital domes relaunched as mobile clinics. Mintaka Station, once alive with commerce, dimmed section by section until only the thrum of distant frequency blasts broke the silence. By cycle's end, Orion's proud market corridor was a combat zone, stargates locked, shields humming, and free trade replaced by fear. The stage was set for the conflict's most devastating move, a superweapon aimed at the peaceful water world called Tiamat. With Mintaka locked down but the war still at stalemate, the Draco Orion Command chose a shock tactic. Target: Tiamat, sometimes called Maldek, a peaceful ocean-covered world orbiting between Mars and Jupiter, home to neutral research cities and vast water reserves every side valued. The coalition deployed Imhulu, a planet-scale resonance weapon described in later Mesopotamian tablets as the Divine Hurricane. In practical terms, it was a focused gravity pulse that tore molecular bonds apart. One calibrated blast struck Tiamat's core. Sensors on distant stations registered a single spike, then silence. Moments later, the planet split like glass under a tuning fork. Billions of tons of seawater vaporized. Continental plates fragmented into hundreds of irregular chunks. Most debris settled into a new band, the field we now call the asteroid belt. Several water-rich shards escaped the zone. One splashed across early Earth, tilting our axis and seeding the young crust with extra oceans and crystalline minerals. Another fragment skimmed Mars, scouring its surface and stripping atmosphere. The attack stunned every observer, including some within the coalition itself. Neutral worlds condemned the strike as a war crime. Trade councils demanded an immediate ceasefire. Civilians everywhere realized no shield could guarantee safety against a weapon that could erase a planet in seconds. Imhulu's devastation became the war's turning point. The Allies pushed for armistice talks, and even hardline Orion commanders saw the risk of total mutual ruin. The appetite for conquest began to crumble, setting the stage for negotiations, and for Gaia's quiet pulse to call surviving star nations toward a very different project on a small blue world. The Dracos believed Tiamat's ruin would force the Allies to surrender. Instead, it united them. Representatives from a dozen star nations, Pleiadian diplomats, Arcturian shield architects, Sirian strategists, Andromedan code monks, Tau Ceti envoys, even Muyan ocean sages, met in emergency council and agreed on one last move. Lock the war zone, freeze the advance. Arcturian engineers deployed lattice satellites, tiny silver seeds that unfolded into hexagonal grids the moment they reached position. Pleiadian transmitters layered soft harmonic tones through the mesh, dampening the resonance cannons the Dracos relied on. Sirian cruisers anchored the corners, projecting water plasma buffers that absorbed stray blasts. Within a week, the entire belt corridor glowed with a pale, shifting net. Any ship firing high-energy weapons risked frying its own systems in feedback. The Draco-Orion coalition tried to punch through. Resonance volleys ricocheted, disabling their own destroyers. Boarding parties disintegrated on entry as shield frequencies rewrote their armor code mid-stride. After 3 failed offensives, they halted, engines idling, weapons powered down. A joint declaration followed. Orion's belt is now neutral space. No tariffs, no troop movements, no weapon tests. Violate it and the grid itself will respond. Clay tablets from the old Babylonian Three Kings star list later recorded a cryptic echo of this moment. The belt of heaven. Tribute shall not pass. Trade fell silent, but so did open combat. For the first time since Mintaka's takeover, both sides faced a drawn line neither dared cross. The war wasn't over, yet the constellation exhaled. While Orion's battlefront froze behind its energy net, attention shifted to a small blue planet on a quiet spiral arm. Earth, newly tilted by a shard of Tiamat, oceans steaming, continents still drifting, released a single, unmistakable pulse into the ether. Sensitives across half the sector described it the same way. a low drumbeat that thrummed through ship hulls and meditation chambers alike, carrying one clear message: ready. Star envoys who had helped weave the standstill rerouted toward the source. Pleiadian diplomats, Arcturian gridmasters, Sirian water sages, Andromedan coders, and other neutral allies formed what would become the first star council orbiting Earth. Their intent wasn't conquest. The Galactic War had shown where that road led. Instead, they entered a pact. Earth would be a free will zone, and any help offered must align with the planet's own rhythm. Oral traditions kept a faint echo of that moment. Hopi emergence myths speak of the Earth spirit drumming once, sky beings, kachinas, descending, signaling a new world age. Same drumbeat, different tongue. The Hopi kept in story what star crews felt in real time. Council observers studied Gaia's emerging Homo erectus, upright primates with surprising neural flexibility, and agreed on a bold experiment: weave star lineage DNA into their biology, using Tiamat's crystalline minerals as upgrade ports. If successful, a new species would carry both cosmic memory and terrestrial grounding, able to choose cooperation without forgetting survival skills forged in older wars. In linear time, this emergence unfolded roughly 300,000 years ago, the beginning of the human story as we know it. The Council prepared to meet Gaia's invitation, unaware their joint project would one day walk, think, and look back at Orion's belt in wonder. Earth already had a sturdy canvas, Homo erectus, upright, fire-keeping, brain on the verge of something bigger. What it didn't have yet was the wiring for rapid intuition, empathic range, and multidimensional memory. That's where the Star Council went to work. The Star Council picked specific places in our DNA to add upgrades. Modern science keeps tripping over those same spots and wondering how they got there. Chromosome 2 fusion, 2 ancestral ape chromosomes welded into one, step 1 of the Council's plan to give the brain more real estate without needing a bigger skull. Textbooks still call it a lucky accident. FOXP2 speech tweak. A pinpoint change in this gene let our vocal cords hit microtones, unlocking complex language, chant, and eventually mantra. Fossils show cave art and symbolic thinking exploding right after this mutation appears. 223 orphan genes. Modern databases admit these sequences have no clear animal ancestor. Council logs label them bridging codons, installed to speed up learning, creativity, and immune adaptability. They didn't inject the upgrades in a lab. The new genes arrived inside micron-sized bits of Tiamat's crystal dust, microfragments packed with piezoelectric lattices. Once the dust settled into bone and brain, the crystals began converting Earth's geomagnetic pulse into faint electric currents, nudging the new genes to unfold gradually over generations. Those crystals are still in us today. A solar flare, a singing bowl, or even a heartfelt mantra can make them vibrate again, waking dormant abilities. Sharper intuition, faster tissue repair, bursts of telepathic empathy, even moments of clear seeing beyond linear time. Ancient Mesopotamian myths speak of gods mixing clay with divine breath to awaken a new being, an echo in symbolic form of the Council's blend of primate DNA and star code. Within a few thousand generations, the upgrades unfolded. Brain case volume jumped. The larynx dropped for complex speech, mirror neuron networks lit with empathy. What emerged was Homo sapiens, a free will body able to host multiple star lineage memories, yet grounded enough to garden, dance, and wonder at sunsets. Scientists still puzzle over how these genetic leaps clustered in such a tight window. What comes through the field is crystal clear. Splice galactic DNA codes into a resilient primate frame. Charge it with Tiamat's crystal amplifiers, and the so-called missing link appears. Humans are a convergent species, not a lucky mutation. That hybrid genome is why we're so uniquely creative, so closely guided, and at the same time, so tempting to factions that feed on fear. Every strand of our DNA holds both the memory of cooperative star cultures and the shadows of the Orion conflict. The Council's work on Earth didn't erase the Orion War. It only moved the fighting jets away from the main stage. The Draco fleet, stalled by the standstill grid, withdrew to distant strongholds. The militant Orion leaders who had sided with them splintered. A few surrendered and accepted exile. Most vanished into hidden space, nursing plans to regain power. Neutral worlds tried to rebuild, but the whole sector carried a bruise. Trade hubs gutted, families scattered, trust thin as mist. Many refugees, Lyran scientists, Pleiadian healers, even disillusioned Orion technicians, chose Earth as a second start. They limited face-to-face contact to a few receptive clans, enough to seed skills without hijacking the wider human story, while guiding most people through dreams, symbols, and quiet nudges that kept free will intact. As humanity developed, some of those off-world mentors transitioned into a quieter role. Later traditions would remember them as the Watchers. The Book of Enoch, one of humanity's oldest surviving religious texts, later left out of the Bible because its stories of sky beings felt too unsettling, says angels came down, taught people metalworking and healing plants, warned them not to misuse those skills, and then left. In plain terms, off-world engineers shared helpful tech, sensed trouble brewing, and pulled back to avoid sparking another war. The trauma lingered. Some Orion survivors carried deep survivor's guilt. Council healers encoded calming frequencies into Earth's mineral grid so the planet itself could act as a therapist. And Draco remnants, still hungry for dominance, learned a quieter game: influence rather than invasion. Much later, after humanity entered periods of division and technological imbalance, Draco-aligned factions returned with a more subtle strategy, working through fear, hierarchy, and the temptation of power, nudging civilizations toward control, conquest, and disconnection from their original blueprint. Those patterns still appear active today, not through visible empires, but through systems that reward fear, separation, and endless conflict over cooperation, intuition, and human potential. So the Orion War never truly ended. It relocated into the human story, playing out as intuition versus intimidation, cooperation versus control. Understanding this lineage isn't about blame. It's about recognizing which echoes we strengthen every time we choose fear or cooperation. Because in many ways, the Orion War never fully disappeared. It settled into the human nervous system. The same split that once fractured the stars still moves through us now. One current pushes toward domination, control, survival at any cost. The other leans toward empathy, creativity, and connection. Ancient battles became emotional patterns, inherited beliefs, and social systems. The war moved from stargates into the human psyche. That may sound dramatic, but even modern science hints at it. Trauma rewires DNA expression across generations. Fear conditions the nervous system to expect conflict long after danger has passed. Humanity carries memory in more ways than we realize. And yet, the opposite is also true. Cooperation heals. Compassion reorganizes the brain. Meditation changes neural pathways. Heart coherence affects the electromagnetic field around the body. In other words, the human avatar was never designed only to survive. It was designed to evolve consciously. Maybe that's why humanity fascinates so many forces, both supportive and parasitic. We are convergence beings. Primate resilience, galactic code, Earth intuition, and free will woven together into one species capable of enormous destruction or extraordinary awakening. The old Orion factions believed power came through control. Gaia's experiment proposed something radically different, that true evolution emerges through choice. So the real question was never who won the Orion Wars. The real question is, which side of the inheritance will humanity choose now? Every act of empathy over cruelty, truth over manipulation, creation over fear, becomes part of the answer. Not because we're saving the galaxy in some dramatic sci-fi finale, but because each conscious choice weakens the ancient circuitry of domination and strengthens the blueprint Gaia called into being long ago. Maybe that's what awakening really is, not escaping humanity, but finally becoming the version we were always capable of being. If this message activated something in you, help us spread the message. Like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comment section. Every interaction helps these conversations reach the people meant to find them. This isn't just content, it's a frequency, an activation of the remembrance already within you.